Welcome to the Algebra 1 review for end of Unit 6 test. As long as you understand the concepts that I cover in this study guide, you should do just fine on the test, which will be tomorrow, Tuesday. Find the x-intercepts of y equals x squared plus 3. The first thing you want to do is change this from standard form to factored form by factoring out an x from each term. So this would become x times x plus 3. Now, set each factor equal to 0 and solve for x. So we have x equals 0, so we have an intercept at the origin. Then set x plus 3 equal to 0, and we know that x must be -3 because -3 plus 3 equals 0. Now we know that the other x-intercept is at -3, 0. If you have any questions about how I solved this, please ask questions now so I can clarify for you. On the next one, we need to be able to find the factored form, the vertex form, and the standard form of these equations. So first, we'll find the factored form. We can see that we have an x-intercept at -1, 0. We have another x-intercept at +3, 0. And we have a vertex at +1, -4. So if I have an x-intercept at -1, then I must have a factor at x plus 1, because -1 plus 1 equals 0. Next, if I have an x-intercept at +3, then I must have a factor at x minus 3, because +3 minus 3 equals 0. So now we have the factored form of the equation. Next, we need to find the vertex form. And in the vertex form, we're going to have x minus h. Well, h is the x-coordinate of the vertex, which is 1. And then this factor is squared. Then we're going to add k. K is the y-coordinate of the vertex. So we're going to add -4. If I add -4, then this becomes -4. And now we have found the vertex form. Lastly, we need to find the standard form. To find the standard form, I'm going to take the factored form and I'm going to multiply the factors together. X times x equals x squared. X times negative 3 is minus 3x. 1 times x is plus x. And 1 times negative 3 is minus 3. Now I combine the x terms, and my standard form equation becomes y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. And we can see from this standard form equation, the c is minus 3, so we should have a y-intercept at negative 3, and we see that right here at negative 3, 0. If you have any questions about this concept, please ask for clarification now so you're ready for the test. Identify what the parts of a standard form equation tell us. The standard form equation is in the format ax squared plus bx plus c. If a is greater than 0, meaning a is positive, this tells us the graph opens upward. If a is less than 0, meaning a is negative, this tells us the graph opens downward. Next, we can look at b. If b is greater than 0, that means the graph shifts left. If b equals 0 and we don't have a bx term, this tells us the graph is centered on y-axis. And if b this should say is less than 0, meaning b is negative, then this tells us the graph shifts right. And finally, when we look at c, c is the y-intercept. So make sure you understand what each part of the standard form equation does. Graph y equals x minus 2 times x plus 4 and find the following: the x-intercepts, the y-intercept, and the vertex. So first we need to find the x-intercepts. We set x minus 2 equal to 0. Add 2 to both sides. and we get x equals 2, which means we have an intercept at 2, 0. And we can plot that point. Then we set x plus 4 equal to 0. We subtract 4 from both sides, and x equals negative 4. That means we have another intercept at negative 4, 0. And we can plot that point. Next, we need the y-intercept. A y-intercept has an x value of 0. So we substitute 0 in for x. Zero minus 2 is negative 2. 0 plus 4 is positive 4. And negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. That means we have a y-intercept at 0, negative 8. And we can plot that point. And finally, we need the vertex. To find the vertex, the x-coordinate is exactly halfway between the x-intercepts. So we take negative 4, add 2, and divide by 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So for the vertex, we know that we have negative 1 for the y, or for the x. Now we're going to substitute that into the equation. Y equals negative 1 minus 2 times negative 1 plus 4. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. And negative 1 plus 4 is positive 3. And negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Now I can plot the point negative 1, negative 9, and I have those 4 points, and I can draw the parabola that connects them. And we have our graph. If you have any questions about how I just solved this, please ask for clarification now so that you are prepared for the test tomorrow. When comparing thrown objects, if you are comparing when they hit the ground, you are comparing their x-intercepts. Because when they hit the ground, they will have a height of 0, which means a y value of 0. If you are comparing their maximum height, you are comparing their vertex. This will be the top of the parabola before it comes back down. To calculate when the object hits the ground, set each factor equal to 0. Solve for the x and eliminate the negative. So you only want to keep the positive x-intercept. To calculate the maximum height of the object, the x-coordinate is halfway between x-intercepts. Take this value and substitute into equation to calculate the y-coordinate. If you have any questions about that concept, please use class time to ask for clarification now so that you are ready for the test tomorrow. Given the vertex form equation, y equals x plus 3 squared plus 6, the vertex is at the point. Remember that vertex form is x minus h squared plus k. H is your x, k is your y. So we have plus 3. So if it's minus h, then h must be negative 3, because minus negative 3 would become plus 3. And if it's plus k, then our k is going to be 6. So the vertex is at the point negative 3, 6. The graph opens blank. You want to look in front of the parentheses. If this is positive, which it is, that means the graph opens upward. If this had been negative, then it would have opened downward. Since the graph opens upward, the vertex is a minimum. If the graph opens upward, that means the vertex is at the bottom of the U, so it is a minimum. If we were to shift the graph down by 5, the new equation would be y equals x plus 3 squared plus 1, because the up or down shift is what we're adding or subtracting outside parentheses. So if that is currently 6, we need to subtract 5, and now we have 1. So instead of the vertex being at positive 6, shifting it down 5 spots would put it at positive 1. If you have any questions about this concept, please ask for clarification now so that you are prepared for the test tomorrow. Given the equation for a dropped object, to calculate when the object hits the ground, calculate the x-intercept. This is because when the object hits the ground, it will have a height of 0, which means it will have a y value of 0. Then eliminate the negative x-intercept. Because we're measuring time, so we don't want the negative time, we want the positive time. To calculate the height the object was dropped from, find the y-intercept by setting the time equal to 0 and solving for y. Because if I haven't dropped it yet, no time has elapsed. Therefore, it will give me the height at the starting time of 0. If you have any questions about any concepts that were covered in this study guide, please ask for clarification now so that you are ready for the test tomorrow.